Hello and a very warm welcome to Game On, where we get you the latest from the world of sports. On the show today, David Warner silences his critics with a brilliant ton against Pakistan in his farewell series. The Turkish referee Khalil Umut Meler is discharged from the hospital after he was punched in the face by the president of a top football club. And Indian women playing their first test in a decade go beyond 400 against England at the D.Y. Patil Stadium in Mumbai. Let's begin with India versus South Africa, the third T20I. That's right, India have to win the third and the final T20I tonight against South Africa in Johannesburg to avoid a series defeat. While the hosts will hope to win the match to claim their first bilateral T20 series win at home since March 2019, India, the top-ranked team in the format, arrived in South Africa after beating Australia 4-1 and then, after the opening match was washed out, lost the second match to leave today's clash as a must-win to share the trophy 1-all. Shreyas Iyer is expected to return to the 11 after he was oddly benched out for the second game, and there is a chance that Ruturaj Gaikwad also returns from illness, which means that Shubman Gill might have to make way for the likes of Rinku, Singh and Jitesh Sharma in the middle order. Today's match is the last we are likely to see of them until January, when India next play T20I. So making a statement ahead of the T20 World Cup is a must for these fringe players. For the hosts, who have released Marco Jansen and Gerald Coetzee, there will be a couple of fresh faces, potentially in Nandre Berger and Othniel Bartman. South Africa have not won a T20 series on home soil in over 4.5 years, with England, Australia, Pakistan and West Indies holding them down 6 consecutive series. The opening day of the first women's test between India and England at the D.Y. Patil Stadium in Navi Mumbai ended with a home team well placed at 410 for 7. In what is the first women's test match in India since 2014 and the first for a visiting England team here in 18 years, India fielded 3 debutants, of which 2 made an immediate mark on the format. The number 3 batter, Satish Shubha, marking her test debut with 69 of 76 balls, and Jemima Rodriguez scoring 68 of 99, 1 plays below her. The debutants put on 115 for the third wicket after Smriti Mandhana and Shafali Verma fell for 17 and 19 respectively, and showed an array of shots as they set about reviving India from 47 for 2. Neither were able to convert their scores into 100, but despite their wickets, the Indian team was carried from 190 for 6 to 300 thanks to Harmanpreet Kaur and Yastika Bhatia. Harman was run out 1 short of a 50 and Yastika made 66 as England hit back in the final session. But an unbeaten 60 from Deepti Sharma in a stubborn partnership with Sneh Rana got the score past 400 before stumps. A superb 164 from David Warner put Australia in the driver's seat on day 1 of the first test against Pakistan in Perth, where by stumps the home side had racked up a total of 346 for 5. Having chosen to bat, Australia were given a strong start from Warner, who got to his 50 in 41 balls and put on 129 with Usman Qayja, who was the first wicket to fall for 41. Manas Labuschagne then went cheaply for 16, but Warner sped to his 26th test century in 125 balls, and thus ensured himself the New Year farewell in Sydney, which he had hoped to get when he announced his retirement earlier in 2023. The 37-year-old's form has been debated, given that his previous Test 100 had come in January 2020. But Warner replied to his critics with a very fine innings that contained 16 fours and 4 sixes. Celebrating his 100 with that trademark leap in the air and telling Fox Cricket during the lunch break that it's one of those innings, there's going to be criticism, but you've got to take that. There is no better way to silence them than by putting runs on the board. It feels great. Steve Smith made 31 and Travis Head made 40 as Pakistan made inroads after tea, but it was the wicket of Warner for 164 caught a deep point of the bowling of Test debutant Amir Jamal that gave the visiting team reason to smile, for it was against them 4 years ago that Warner smashed an unbeaten triple century. At stumps, Mitchell Marsh was batting on 15, Alex Carey on 14. So all eyes were on Usman Qayja before the beginning of the first test, after he planned to wear shoes with messages in support of Palestinians in Gaza. But on match day, he instead wore a black armband after he was instructed by the ICC not to display any political message on his shoes. Cricket Australia on Wednesday declared their support for Qayja's right to express solidarity with the people of Gaza, but they also emphasized the necessity for adherence to International Cricket Council regulations prohibiting displays on playing equipment. Qayja, hailing from Pakistan, the first ever Muslim to play Test for Australia, said he stood with people affected in Gaza and wanted to wear shoes because he believed in that cause, clarifying that there is nothing divisive or political about that message, and even came for a pre-match interview bare feet to make that point. But in the match, he chose to wear that black armband. This is what he had posted on his social media handle a day before the game.
I won't say much. I don't need to. But what I do want is for everyone who did get offended somehow is to ask yourself these questions. Is freedom not for everyone? Are all lives not equal? To me personally, it doesn't matter what race, religion, or culture you are. But let's be honest about it. If me saying all lives are equal has resulted in people being offended to the point where they're calling me up and telling me off, well, isn't that the bigger problem? These people obviously don't believe in what I've written. And it's not just a handful of people. You'd be shocked about how many feel this way. What I've written on my shoes isn't political. I'm not taking sides. Human life to me is equal. One Jewish life is equal to one Muslim life, is equal to one Hindu life, and so on. I'm just speaking up for those who don't have a voice. This is close to my heart.
On to football. Battered and bruised Turkish referee Khalil Umut Meler has been discharged from the hospital after being attacked by a top club president after a Super League game on Monday. The league is set to resume from the 19th of December. The Turkish referee who was punched by the president of a top-flight Turkish soccer club was released from hospital on Wednesday with a swollen eye but no other health issues. Khalil Umut Meler, who was treated for a fracture near his eye, walked out of Ankara's Acıbadem hospital and raised his hand to salute the assembled media before entering a vehicle. The state-run Anadolu agency said Meler would travel to his home in Izmir, western Turkey, escorted by police for protection. The hospital chief physician, Mehmet Yorobuluth, told reporters that the referee's morale was high.
We discharged our official in a good condition. His mood is quite good. We discharged him in quite a good way. He will have his checks wherever he goes, but he has no problems left other than slight swelling on his eye. We wish our official a healthy, successful and a professional career for the rest of his life.
Meler was punched in the face and then kicked while lying on the pitch after the final whistle of a Super League match between Ankara Gucu and Rizespor on Monday. The president of Ankara Gucu club, Faruk Koca, was arrested on Tuesday for attacking Meler. Meanwhile, Turkey's top soccer league will resume play on Tuesday next week, after all the games were suspended for a week after the attack. President Mehmet Büyükekşi said its board decided to resume league matches on December 19th and that necessary changes will be made to alleviate security concerns, including amendments to relevant laws.
First of all, if you noticed, in my statements I have said that all the partners have requests about taking any necessary decisions regarding security. We discussed these yesterday, including whether some legislative changes need to be made in the law. And in the meeting we held with our Justice Minister, work on this started immediately yesterday.
The Federation's disciplinary committee would decide on Thursday on the status of Ankara Gucho, its president and others who invaded the field. Newcastle's European hopes were dashed when AC Milan substitute Samuel Chukwueze struck a superb late winner to seal a 2-1 victory as both teams exited the Champions League at St James's Park on Wednesday. At one point on a nerve-jangling climax to Group F, Newcastle were heading for the last 16 as they led through Joelinton's rasping first-half drive, and Paris Saint-Germain trailed in Germany to Borussia Dortmund. But 7 times champions Milan were far better in the second half as Newcastle ran out of steam, and Christian Pulisic equalised on the hour from Olivier Giroud's pass. With both sides going for victory, Bruno Guimaraes had a shot tipped on to the crossbar by Milan keeper Mike Mignon before Rafael Leao hit the post at the other end.
We knew this group was completely different and very difficult. It's sad to have regrets. We deserved more and did not know how to take our opportunities in the other games. Whereas tonight we did do that. We were not intimidated or demoralized by an opponent that played with incredible intensity. This means we will do everything we can to win the Europa League.
Milan had won only one of their previous 21 encounters in Europe away to English opposition in 2005. But Chukwueze made it a memorable night for the Serie A side when he curled past Martin Dubravka in the 84th minute following a slick counter-attack.
Yeah, the second goal, as I said, both teams were going for the win. So with Fabian breaking through with the ball and trying to play a 1-2 with Alex around the box. We were probably very close to getting in and scoring ourselves. And then seconds later, we'd been counter-attacked on and then they scored. When you're playing AC Milan in the Champions League, you have to get everything right. And if you don't, you'll get punished. The pain doesn't really change. Regardless of the competition, pain doesn't choose, oh well, it's this competition, so it's worse. It's the same. You have lost a game. You have exited 2 competitions that you are desperate to be in. But as I said, that always fuels me. I'm man enough to take it because you have to then look to tomorrow and rebuild.
Manager Eddie Howe and his players devastated after their return to Champions League, which was intensely fought but has ended with them at the bottom of Group F and out of the league. Paris Saint-Germain drew 1-1 with Group F winners Borussia Dortmund on Wednesday to secure second place and a spot in the Champions League knockout stage in their final group match. The star of the match was the 17-year-old Warren Zaire-Emery, whose goal earned that priceless draw. Both sides squandered a bag full of golden chances in a surprisingly goalless first half before Karim Adeyemi finally broke the deadlock for the already qualified hosts in the 51st minute, slotting in off the post after PSG lost possession outside the box. The visitors responded 5 minutes later, levelling through teenager Warren Zaire-Emery after good work from Kylian Mbappe, who also had an effort ruled offside in the 76th. Zaire-Emery became the youngest ever French goal scorer in the Champions League at 17 years and 280 days.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm very happy because throughout these 6 matches we have played in the Champions League, we have shown a clear idea of going after every match. There wasn't a single match in which we were not on the attack and created chances to score, normally more than our opponent. And what makes me feel optimistic, 11 signings in addition to the staff, and we have opened our campus PSG, which is still pretty new, and I have no doubt that come Feb, we are going to be a lot stronger. Today we are very happy to have managed to qualify for the next round. It was not a done deal for Borussia Dortmund, especially in this group. And the fact that we have managed to finish first is an exceptional achievement for us. It gives us confidence and makes us want to go further.
Dortmund topped the group on 11 points with PSG in second place on 8th, the same as third-placed AC Milan, who will continue in the Europa League following their 2-1 win at Newcastle United, who picked up 5 points. With that, we'll slip into a short break. On the other side, sports stories continue.
वर्ष 2070 तक भारत नेट जीरो का लक्ष्य हासिल करेगा.
There is certainly a wall of capital coming into the clean tech, climate tech space, not just in India but across the world.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
Manchester City's treble-winning coach Pep Guardiola and England women manager Serena Wiegman, they're among the finalists for the Best FIFA Men's Coach and Women's Coach Awards. Guardiola is a firm favourite after City won the Premier League, FA Cup and Champions League titles last season, while Wiegman, a 3-times winner, is the current holder of the Women's Coach Award. Wiegman led England to yet another major final when they reached the summit clash at the Women's World Cup, where they lost to Spain. But Guardiola is going to be joined by Simone Inzaghi, who led Inter Milan to the Champions League final, while they also lifted the Coppa Italia. The third finalist is Luciano Spalletti. He ended Napoli's 33-year Scudetto drought when they won the Serie A title with 5 games to spare. The winners will be crowned on January 15th in London. On to golf. Jon Rahm said at a function in Spain on Wednesday that he intends to keep a low profile, avoid public events and not to do any interviews till the launch of Live Golf's 2024 season in February. I wonder how that will happen, given he is among the richest sportspersons on this planet at the moment. Spanish golfer Jon Rahm made his first public appearance since his surprise move from the PGA Tour to the Saudi-backed cash-rich Live Golf. The Spanish pro attended an awards function in Bilbao on Wednesday, where he received a local Dama Bilbaina award. During his formal address at the event, Rahm confirmed that this would be his only public appearance. He is restricted from attending any public events.
Yes, this is the only public act that I'm going to attend, as I'm under very strict instructions of not doing public events imposed a bit by me and because of changing the world of golf the way I did last week.
Masters champion Rahm had jumped from the PGA Tour to Saudi-backed Live Golf on December 7th in a big money move that sent another shockwave through the sport. The 29-year-old becomes the biggest name to sign on with the Rebel circuit funded by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund since Australian Cameron Smith joined after winning the 2022 British Open.
I feel normal and I don't think what I do is different to any other job that anyone else here has. It's not that I'm more or less important. It simply is what it is. And I thank God that I got to be seen on TV. But that's it. Maybe a little less in the future. For now, but let's hope that changes.
One of golf's most popular and charismatic figures, Rahm's departure will be seen as another massive blow to the PGA Tour, which has watched many of its stars defect to the breakaway league lured by massive paydays. Well, Well, that's it on this special. Hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.
Today, she is the only smiling leader in Rajasthan. All eyes will be on her moves if the BJP returns to power.
Vasundhara Raje Scindia defied all the odds to become the first woman chief minister of Rajasthan.
She has the uncanny ability of striking rapport with all sections. That's why she is very popular in her constituency, not only in her constituency but in entire Rajasthan.
This and more, streaming on world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now. China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. This and more. Streaming on the world's first news OTT, News 9 Plus. Download now.
In a historic accord at the COP28 summit in Dubai, almost 200 nations have pledged to move away from fossil fuels. This groundbreaking agreement marks a pivotal departure from oil dependence, addressing imminent climate threats. Here's a complete report.
I must say that you did it. You delivered.
After 2 weeks of hard-fought debate, nations struck a historic deal at COP28 in Dubai. The pact aims to transition the global economy away from fossil fuels. Here are some key takeaways. This is the first time the world has expressed a unified desire to eventually end the use of fossil fuels. The provision calls for, quote, transitioning away from fossil fuels in energy systems in a just, orderly, and equitable manner, with the goal of achieving net zero by 2050. While it is sending a resounding signal to international markets, it will not immediately destroy oil consumption or shrink prices. However, incremental policy moves and shifting investment trends over time could ensure a longer-term transformation of the energy economy. The pact also had rewards for oil producers. There's a clear acknowledgement that technologies like carbon capture can reduce the climate impact of oil, natural gas, and coal. Boosting such technologies was highlighted in a list of actions that countries should take to fight climate change. A source familiar with Saudi thinking said the kingdom could accept the deal because it provides a menu for every country to follow its own pathway. Carbon capture remains very expensive in certain applications. It's also never been proven at the vast global scale needed to have a significant impact. The pact is missing any additional financing to help developing nations transition away from fossil fuels. Money to help poor, climate-vulnerable countries adapt to the impacts of climate change was also lacking. However, there was a victory at the start of the summit for poor nations hit by climate disaster when delegates adopted a new fund to help them cope with loss and damages. The US, European Union, and scores of other countries said the deal maintained a chance of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial average. But getting there will be tough. It would require cutting emissions nearly in half in just 6 years, and making it to net zero by 2050. The draft calls for countries to do so, but some, like the Alliance of Small Island States, questioned whether it will happen.
The U.S. House of Representatives voted on Wednesday to formally authorize its ongoing impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden as Republicans